Hello and welcome to this vagus nerve restorative yoga class. I'm so glad to be here with you today. For this class, you're going to need a bolster, 2 blocks, a yoga strap, and a blanket. And we're going to start lying on your back. So we're going to start with something that if you're familiar with the vagus nerve, you'll know as the vagus nerve reset. If you're not, it's okay. I'm going to talk you through it. Tim's here in the chat if you can hear the keyboard clicking in the background for you. So you're going to interlace your fingers and take your hands behind your head. And you want your head to rest heavy in your hands. Your elbows will rest on the ground. I still have some remnants of frozen shoulders, so my elbows don't rest on the ground yet. Let your head be heavy, heavy, heavy in your hands. And then what you're going to do, you'll start looking up at the ceiling, and then without moving or turning your head, keep your nose pointing straight up at the ceiling. Turn your eyes so your eyes are looking to your right. We're just going to breathe gently in and out through our nose here, while your eyes are looking all the way to the right without straining. And we'll do this until we get a parasympathetic nervous system response. You'll know that your body is starting to relax because you might have increased saliva. You might have a sigh. You might notice your breath is deepening. You might yawn. And then bring your eyes back to the center. And again, just keeping your head pointing straight up. Your nose will point to the ceiling. Let your head be super, super heavy in your hands here. And your eyes are going to turn to face to the left now, keeping your nose pointing up to the ceiling so your head doesn't move at all. And again, we're going to stay here, looking to the left until we get some kind of parasympathetic nervous system response. A sign that we're going into rest and digest. That might be some increased saliva, you know, when you fall asleep on the couch and you wake up and you've been drooling like that. Or maybe you have a long sigh, or you might yawn. And all of these are signs that you're going into that vagus nervous system response. Okay, so we're going to release that from our body. And we're going to come into our first restorative pose. Which is going to be a myofascial release for our diaphragm. So for this, you're going to need a folded blanket. And you can fold your blanket so that you have a nice sort of narrow blanket to work with. I'm going to suggest you place it over your diaphragm at the front, at the base of your ribs here. Now, if you have like Crohn's, colitis, IBS, this might be really uncomfortable for you, in which case you could lie on your back and place it over the back of your diaphragm, same place at the base of your ribs. Also, if you're pregnant, that's not going to be a good place for you to have it, in which case you could place it at the side of your diaphragm and you can lie on your side body. Okay, we're going to be here for about 5 minutes, and what this is going to do is it's going to kind of provide some proprioceptive awareness for our diaphragm to wake up our diaphragm. It'll support us in breathing more deeply, increasing our exhalation. So it's a really great thing to wake up your diaphragm. We're going to be here for about 5 minutes. So you can rest your forehead on the backs of your hands here and just really rest over this blanket here, whether you're on your side or your back. There's no right or wrong or better, best way to do this. We're just providing some proprioceptive input, some neurophysiological feedback for our diaphragm here. So when we stimulate our vagus nerve, and our vagus nerve actually innervates our diaphragm, you're sending a message to your through your body to your brain that it's time to relax and distress, which leads to long-term improvements in mood, well-being, and resilience. And it helps with things like anxiety and depression and to better manage them when they arise. When you stimulate the vagus nerve like we are here, doing this diaphragm stimulation, or like we did with the vagus nerve reset, you're going to feel calmer, more compassionate towards yourself and others. It's all about connection with yourself, connection with other people, pets, nature, your spirit. You're going to feel clearer in your mind. So stimulating your vagus nerve benefits your autonomic nervous system and your mental health. Autonomic just means that it's automatic. It's not something that you control, just like your heartbeat and breathing and digestion. But you can do things like this to influence it. And healthy vagal tone means emotional regulation, greater connection, and as a result, greater physical health. It controls our breathing, it controls our digestion. Well, maybe not control, but influences. So the pathway of the vagus nerve is from the brainstem through the neck, the throat, the heart, the lungs, the digestive system. And 80% of the communication goes from the body to the brain. So slowing down the breathing and freeing up the breathing like we're doing right now with this stimulation of the diaphragm helps to communicate to your mind that you're safe. Okay, so you're going to slowly start to release this pose from your body. And we're actually just going to come up to a seated pose for a moment and just check in on that neurophysiological feedback that we provided for our diaphragm just now. So just coming to a temporary, comfortable seated position and taking a few breaths, tuning inwards to your body, tuning inwards to your breathing. And just noticing if there's more ease in your breath. And particularly if your exhalation feels longer, maybe deeper, and if there's less effort with the exhalation. So now to really lock that in to our nervous system, into our vagus nerve, we're going to do a movement with your bolster. We're going to really lengthen out the psoas and really open that up in the breathing up even more. So you're going to take your bolster. If you have a bolster, if you don't, you can stack some pillows or even use a block for this. So you're going to start on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And you're going to press into your feet and pull your bolster underneath your pelvis here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to arc your right arm overhead and reach your left leg out long. We're going to slightly side bend too through the right side. So taking the right foot over to the left, the right arm over to the left a little bit, and then turn your head towards your right armpit a little bit. You should feel a really nice opening through your right side, through your right psoas here. And we're just going to hang out here for about 5 minutes. This is just going to really continue to relax your nervous system and open up your breathing. So your task here is just to soften each time you breathe out. You're going to slowly draw your right arm down and bring your right leg back in between both sides. We're going to just bring your both knees in because it's quite a bit of extension. So cocoon in, let your body know it's safe. Notice how you're feeling. And then you're going to put your right foot down on the ground. The right knee will stay bent this time. This time, you're just going to slide your left leg out long. Take it over to the right a little bit. Arc your left arm overhead. Take it over to the right a little bit. And turn your head towards your left armpit. Feel that nice gentle opening through the left side of your body, releasing your left psoas here. You're going to be on this side for 5 minutes. So your vagus nerve is part of your autonomic nervous system, which means it's automatic. It stores, conserves, and releases energy to help you move safely through your day. When we understand how our nervous system works in predictable ways in our body, we can befriend our nervous system through practices like restorative yoga, like we're doing today. And in our membership community, we have a whole vagus nerve series. We have a beginner, intermediate, an advanced vagus nerve play list, and then a moving mudra series and a qigong inspired flow. And members all add this restorative class to that course as well. So there's lots of ways to stimulate the vagus nerve, and also I have a whole lot of other like quick tips videos on my lifestyle channel as well. It's really nice in a class like this when we can take time to really ease into it and let our bodies know that we're going to connect with them in a really safe way. Okay, so slowly and gently bring your left arm down, and then gently bring your left leg in. And we will bring our knees into our chest, but let's just remove that prop first. So lift your hips up and lower them down slowly. And then draw your knees into your chest. And maybe a little bit of rocking back and forth. Just notice how you're feeling in your body. Notice your mind, your energy, your breath, your emotions. And then we're going to come up to a seated position. And one of the ways that you can stimulate your vagus nerve is through sounding. Your vagus nerve connects to your vocal cords at the back of your neck. And so singing, humming, gargling, chanting, all of these things really activate or stimulate or tone the vagus nerve. And so we can just sound like either hum, or I was going to sound om. And I think we'll just do it just as a counterpose to that psoas release. I hadn't really listed this as a pose, but it's nice because I think we can get a little self-conscious sounding to do it in a little bit more introverted way, with in maybe child's pose. So just to come into a child's pose or knees to chest pose, or you can, really take any shape you want for this. To inhale and exhale, make the sound om or hum. Om. 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 And just notice how that feels in your body. Okay, and then we're going to do a supported fish pose. So you could use your bolster for this, it's nice and soft, or you could use 2 blocks. So if you wanted to use your blocks, you can use whatever setting you want. You could do a high and medium setting, or you could do a medium and low setting. You can choose whatever setting appeals today. Could even do a wide and medium setting. So if you're going to use your blocks, it's nice to play around with the different levels of the blocks when you're doing supported fish pose. I think I'm going to use the bolster today. I'm craving something a little softer for supported fish pose. And I also find it's nice to just have a little ledge for my head when I do use the bolster for supportive fish pose. Otherwise, I find my neck is craning a little bit. Not quite sure why that happens, but that's true for me in this pose. So we're going to be in this pose for 5 minutes. So the vagus nerve innervates everything sort of from the torso up, like through your organs, your diaphragm, all the visceral organs, and up in the face and the neck and everything up. So this is a great pose for that, for your vagus nerve. So you've probably heard of sympathetic nervous activation, known as your fight or flight. This is filled with chaotic energy. It mobilizes you to attack or drives you to escape dangerous situations. This energy is anxious or angry, and it's important. We need it to help us get out of dangerous situations. On the other hand, your dorsal vagus nervous system is known as shutdown. This is when you're so overwhelmed or you've been overwhelmed for an extended period of time so that you become completely disconnected. Maybe you're going through the motions and you've lost hope and you give up. And this is when you feel drained of energy. And this is also important. Otherwise, we might burn out or overextend ourselves. So we need these are both safety valves where we either run away or put on the brakes to keep ourselves safe. And the ventral vagus nervous system, on the other hand, is a system of connection that supports us in meeting the demands of the day. When we're in ventral vagus activation, we can connect and communicate. We can go with the flow. Life feels manageable. We're engaged with life. We might join in group activities or feel content on our own. The common irritations of the day just don't feel that big. We also feel like we have lots of choices without feeling overwhelmed. And we won't feel like we have too many choices, too. Okay, you're going to bend your knees, roll to your side, and come up. And then just before we go into our next pose, I just thought we would clear a little heart heat, give ourselves a little heart massage. Since the vagus nerve innervates the heart, I find this to be very soothing. So just hand over your heart. And you can just see if this is soothing for you too. So never take my word for any of this. You always want to test these things out on your own and see if it works for you. Also remembering that we're different every day, so sometimes what works one day might not work another day. It's that's why it's great to have a variety of practices. Okay, so our next pose, we're going to do a twist with our bolster. So we all know, well, if you've been practicing yoga for a while, we always talk about how twists are good for the organs. So since the vagus nerve innervates the organs, we'll do a twist. Coming onto all fours, walk your knees over to the left, drop your hips down, lengthen up long through your spine, and lower down onto your bolster. We'll just be here for 5 minutes and just let yourself really relax over your bolster. Space between your teeth, you can soften your jaw. Let all the tension go into the bolster, into the ground. So the vagus nerve is all about connection. And when we're practicing restorative yoga, we're taking time out of our lives to have a deep connection with ourselves. So we're connecting with our physical body, letting go of tension into the props and into the ground, connecting with our breathing, sensing the value of taking time out of our day to restore our energy, feeling the emotional restoration, the mental restoration, the energetic restoration, and the resulting restoration of our spirit. That's what it means to connect with ourselves. And when we do that, it's easier to connect with each other, to connect with our spirit, to connect with nature. So there's this great value in taking this time to intentionally and mindfully connect with ourselves here. Okay, we're going to slowly make our way onto the other side. So just gently press yourself up. You're going to come back onto all fours. And this time you'll walk your knees over to the right. Lower your left hips down this time. Lengthen your spine long. And this time the left side of your head will go on the bolster. So this side will be different. You can give yourself some time to settle in. To gently ease into the connection on this side. Notice if you're tensing or holding anywhere in your body, maybe your hips, your knees, your ankles, your shoulders, your jaw, your eyebrows. Just remind yourself, give yourself permission to let that go. It's not necessary, sweetheart. We can just let that go now. The ground's got us, the bolster's got us for now. Okay, so we're going to slowly come out of that twist and make your way down into Shavasana for your final resting pose. You're going to take the bolster, and it's nice you can put it underneath your knees for smooth flow of energy. You might want to pull a blanket up over top of you to get really nice and cozy and warm. Our bodies tend to cool over time, especially in restorative classes. You're going to rest back here, and I'm going to sit up and read you a poem. And before I read you the poem, I want to acknowledge you for taking this time to connect with yourself and to prioritize your vagus nerve and just prioritize time in your life for restoration. It's just so, so important. It's easy to always be on the go, but that's when we can get into those sympathetic nervous activation where we feel anxious and angry, or we can go into dorsal activation where we just completely shut down. And when we take time for classes like restorative yoga, we keep our nervous systems balanced, and it's so much easier for us to connect with ourselves, to feel balanced, to feel safe, to feel connected, to feel resilient, to be able to connect with our loved ones, with our pets, with nature, with our spirits. So it's really beneficial. And I just want to acknowledge you for making this a priority in your life. So the poem I chose today from Blossoms by Lee Young Lee, I chose it because it's about connecting to nature, which is a result of balanced ventral vagus activation. From Blossoms comes this brown paper bag of peaches we bought from the boy at the bend in the road where we turned toward signs painted peaches. From Blossoms comes this brown painted paper bag of peaches we bought from a boy at the bend in the road where we turned toward signs painted peaches. From laden boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins comes nectar at the roadside. Succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all, comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin but the shade, not only the sugar but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to impossible blossom, to sweet impossible blossom.